Hello and welcome to CLMB's Cracked Knuckle Productions. My name is Chris, and today I want to update you on my world map. Well, it's come to this point. The last time I uploaded a video was on February 19th, and it is now June 29th. So it's been a while, and all that to say, I've done a lot of considering, a lot of thinking, and I'm gonna try to redo my map. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of little glitches and a lot of little inconsistencies that I was not happy with. And so I'm wanting to fix those. And as I was going through and correcting little things here and there, I just became increasingly frustrated with all my imperfections, to the point where I think that it would be easier just to start over. So keeping the base layer, you'll see that in black, and adding new features with the orangish yellow. So even like with this section here that I'm adding, I might not keep it in the end. Parts of it are kind of cool, and I like the aesthetic of kind of what it offers, but I don't know if it fits with my world. It's a little too jagged. And not to say that the world doesn't have variety. In fact, the world does have a lot of variety in different landscapes, but it also seems to not fit the aesthetic that the rest of my world has. So I want to be critical and look at the rest of my world and ask myself, does this fit where I'm designing it? But essentially, 2.0, what I'm wanting to do is I want to finesse. And as you can see, I drew basic outlines, and then I'm adding to the shore lines and giving more detail, more depth to the world map that I have. Yeah, there are parts of the world that are fairly flat in their coastlines, but there's also, I think, a lot to be said where it's jagged in a lot of places as well. You have peninsulas and things like that, sandbars, and some of these long pieces of land, peninsulas that you're seeing, are actually essentially sandbars, just about a mile or two in width. They're very thin. The scale that I'm working on is actually quite small. I'll probably zoom in a little bit, and I'll try to point this out. But some of these squares are only 1 kilometer wide, or about 1 mile, 1.6 kilometers, 1 mile wide. And so, yeah, just trying to add a sense of realism in some ways to my fantasy world. Anyways, so let's go ahead and take a look. So over here, adding a river system, I guess maybe straits that kind of connect the 3 supercontinents together, or we'll be dividing them. What I'm doing here is kind of an interesting thing. I'm have these little jagged points on a lot of these islands, and to fix them, I'm just adding more land to them, and I found out a new feature where I'm able to connect lines, and it, instead of giving me a little spur, it kind of smoothly goes over and creates a shape that doesn't have a spur. And so I'm trying to make sure that I don't have these islands all over the world. It just made everything look yucky, in my opinion, and so I'm working to fix that now. And as you can see, I'm deleting islands and island chains all over the world. Okay, so here, this is a set of islands that I'm creating, and I'm going to be using the technique that I was just trying to describe. Not too great in explaining what I'm doing right now. Sorry for that. But let's watch for a little bit. One thing that's interesting is trying to figure out how many islands you want to fit inside a certain zone and how to make them connect. I mean, do you have all islands, or are you going to combine a couple of these islands to make larger ones? And you have to ask yourself a lot of different questions on what's the look for and feel that you're going. So you can see there I took a couple islands in the middle and combined them all to make one, and I'm adding parts that will jet out into the waterways. And another question is, how far out do these islands spread from the rest of the mainland? And I don't really have a specific answer or anything to say, but I mean, it also looks kind of cool in that area. So yeah, part of this is, does this look cool? Yeah. And does this make sense for what I'm hoping my story will include? We'll see. So yeah, you can see I took away that whole inner ocean and started, well, how about a little bay instead? So the small continent has about doubled in size, or gotten about which is kind of fun. When I calculated the size of my original world map, it was actually smaller. The land masses were smaller than our world, and which is about 30% of the whole surface area of the world. And I think I was at like 22%, which is amazing. I thought that my world map was huge, and I was going to be running into the problem of not having too much land. But when I calculated all the countries in my first iteration, it didn't seem to be that case. So adding more land is not a problem for me. In fact, I'm wanting to try this out just to really see what I can create. I'm not trying to recreate the world, but I want to, in some ways, adhere to. I'm using our world for inspiration, and so to be able to follow and look at it in that way, I think is an important thing. Okay, so here what I'm doing is I'm creating a large, in some ways, gulf that has a lot of little jagged pieces, and there will be a major river system that empties out into this area. And so yeah, working on trying to figure out how that will work. But in essence, this is what I've been working on. Actually, again, February 19th was the last time I was drawing really anything. I've been working on a style guide and how I'm going to be creating all my maps and my icons and cities and things like that. And so I haven't been drawing my map per se, but I've been working on elements and details to my map, which has been a lot of fun. Anyways, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions or comments. Happy world building. Blessings.